Alright, quick video, hopefully, just to illustrate one point for the science forums people. A little hard to describe, so best done with a visual. So I would argue that the interference for radio waves could be resolved simply by having a receiving antenna equally spaced between two transmitting antennas, thereby eliminating this problem of this supposed idea that there's half as much energy getting to the antenna or something because of wave interference. So clearly the waves would never have a chance to interfere if you do the experiment this way. They're never going to be in contact with each other until they actually hit the antenna. And so there won't be any dispute about the effects. So I would claim if you have these two transmitted signals to be the same frequency and you do them in phase and then do them while they're out of phase, so 50% out of phase, that you'll get exactly the same results as you get in the experiment where sorry about that, where you do the traditional arrangement of having two antennas and then having a receiving antenna moved across the field. That this will give you the same, duplicate the same effect. So when both antennas are on, you'll get a signal strength. Let's say that would be 100 for the volume. So when they're both in phase, and if you have an audio signal on this, carried on this radar signal, or even megawatts, doesn't matter. And then if I block one of these antennas, so if I just block one of them, yeah, B, then the signal will diminish by 1/4, so it'll only be, volume will only be 25 units. So it goes from 100 to 25. I say that that's mathematically incorrect, that it should be 33, but whatever. I'm not gonna, let's not argue details. They say there's a 1/4 reduction in power, or a 4-time increase in power, as the guy keeps arguing. I say you get the same result, and then I'll say when they're out of phase, you'll get zero signal, no volume, and even though you have two antennas hitting into two piles of energy going directly into the antenna, and that you'll get no signal because your receiver won't be able to receive it, because it's the two signals are going to jam each other quite clearly, and you'll not be able to separate one signal from the other signal. They'll essentially be superimposed on top of each other, as I've stated, and that'll be it. That is sort of annoying. It's still flipping my image, right? Yeah, it's on the wrong part of the screen. I said it's done to do that. Yeah, I took all that crap off and I put it back on again. Really annoying. Alright, sorry about that. So you couldn't see the 100 anyway. So there, it's just a simple argument that if the experiment, so what's your prediction, people? What do you predict? That if somebody does this experiment, what do you predict this is going to receive? So when the two signals are out of phase, what does the antenna receive in terms of what are you able to interpret in terms of the energy that comes into the antenna? Are you claiming that there's no energy in the antenna when they're out of phase? And again, I would argue you'll get the same results, because all of these results, this 25% change in the power, or this 4 times change in the power, has nothing to do with the actual power of the carrier signal. It has to do with what happens when you take an electrical signal, as I pointed out in the other video, okay, a plus to ground signal, okay, and turn it into a sine wave. That's all it has anything to do with. So he's asserting that I'm violating Maxwell. I'd say this has nothing to do with Maxwell's equations. You have to cite the equation that I'm violating. It's just a rude, obnoxious thing to say. I'll just say it back at you. No, I'm not. You are. Okay, there. Do I win the argument? You're violating Maxwell. 4-time increase in power. How do you do that? Okay, so you have an on-off pattern, and you're saying that the ons are 4 times stronger. So the offs are 0, and the ons are 4 times stronger. That's not 50-50, is it? So somehow you made an extra 50% of energy. That doesn't work, does it? So you're violating Maxwell. All right. it short and unsweet. Yeah, I really feel retarded saying, okay, yes, instead of making a 5-minute video, I'll spend an hour and a half writing a paper on the subject. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we just have a different way of existing on Earth.